So, what if Geto was a Pokemon trainer? Now, I know how ridiculous that sounds at first glance. However, he really does have the toolset to achieve such a thing. I mean, he basically is already a Pokemon trainer down to catching curses in little orbs. And honestly, I'm curious about what this would mean with his mentality specifically. So today we're going to be exploring what might have happened if Geto was a bit more like a Pokemon trainer. This time his goal isn't just domination, it's to catch them all. So by the time of hidden inventory, I think Geto would stay relatively the same. His power set is exactly as it was during the original events, so not much changes. He still has the same cursed spirits and all of that, but this time he's far more idealistic. Specifically in the idea that he can catch them all. He wants to catch every single cursed spirit and contain them all. Gojo would probably think this is impossible, but encourages it anyways, even if he does poke fun of it. Now, at this point, Geto, like most Pokemon trainers, has his core 6. He has Wormy, the hookworm. He has the cuttlefish, which he just calls cuttlefish. He has Ray, the manta ray. He has Rain, the rainbow dragon. He has Kuchisaki Ono, which he shortens to just Ona, and Stretch, the elastic curse. Some of these are more utility based, such as Ray the manta ray, which he kind of just rides around, and the elastic curse, which he uses to capture people, specifically the Q agents that we see during hidden inventory. But others are a bit closer to partners in a way. Rain, the rainbow dragon, acts sort of like a dog in some ways. Ona can hold conversations, although it's usually just about her own looks. Ugh. And Ray and the cuttlefish both enjoy being pet. So in some ways they are pretty similar to Pokemon, at least in this series, because Geto treats them more like partners. That said, despite this new mindset shift for Geto, things still turn out poorly for him during hidden inventory. Rico still falls, and Toji still wins. That said, for Geto in this specific scenario, he loses far more than he did originally. Not only does he lose, his friend afterwards, but he lost pretty much all of his partners. One by one, his curses are taken down by Toji. Wormy, the cuttlefish, Ona, Rain, they all fight valiantly, and they're all cut to ribbons. By the end, Geto has lost pretty much all of his team, and even worse, pretty much all the ones that he felt were true partners. The only one he's really left with by the end of this ordeal is Ray, but the joy of being a Pokemon trainer is gone. He can't play fetch with Rain, he can't have late night talks about their hair with Ona. Those connections, they're gone forever. And with the memory of Rico's funeral being met with applause and Gojo drifting away, Geto is left to stew with what remains. Geto begins to replace his team over the next couple of years, but they're no longer companions. They're just monsters he's using to fight other monsters. They're just curses. He gained centipedes that are designed to shred, a curse that spits pillars of light that he affectionately names Big Nose, Tamamo no Me, and leeches that are designed to swarm their enemies and drain them dry. They're all monsters, they're all tools. And now the dream of catching them all is no longer about joy, it's no longer about training up a team of strong people to have around him. It's more of a job. It's about protecting others. It's a weight he has to shoulder. He tells himself that he's just chasing this goal, that if he can catch enough cursed spirits, then everyone will be safe. But it leads him down a road where it's only himself. He is alone. When Haibara passes, this pushes him even further down the road of isolation. His talk with Yuki cements it. Humans are the real problem. Cursed spirits aren't evil. They're born from humanity's malice, from their pride and fear. Destroying non-sorcerers, erasing cursed energy, that wouldn't truly solve the problem, would it? Because at the end of the day, Rico fell not because of cursed spirits, but because of another human. There will always be another Rico, whether or not it's done by a cursed spirit, by a non-sorcerer, or by a sorcerer. So Geto decides he's gonna live free. He's still going to catch them all, but now he wants to reveal the true cruelty of human beings. Soon after this revelation, he ends up destroying a village and rescuing Mimiko and Nanako. He burns it to the ground and he's cast out of Jujutsu Society. He doesn't mind though, because Cursed User is exactly what he is. He's not a Pokemon trainer. No, not anymore. He's not training these curses. He's not befriending them. He is using them. Around Mimiko and Nanako, he starts to feel a little bit of warmth. He starts to loosen up. He starts to slowly build a family, but it's only a little, because at the end of the day, he is obsessed. He preaches peace and coexistence, yet he drowns in work, in preparing speeches, in collecting curses. It's just a mask at the end of the day. He wants harmony. He wants to build a world where everybody knows about cursed energy and cursed spirits and starts to treat each other better because of it. But as he builds this brick by brick, he's putting up a wall between himself and the people who care about him. When he learns of Yuta and Rika, he doesn't just see her as a weapon. He sees proof that he's right. A boy too weak to let go, chaining this poor girl's soul to this realm. It's human cruelty at its peak. This time, Geto doesn't declare war, but approaches Yuta directly. Gojo intervenes, and Geto proposes a duel, one final battle to prove whose ideals are stronger. The night parade of 100 demons still happens, but it's a little bit different. Geto doesn't want conquest, but instead, he preaches that he wants to free Rika from the cursed child. Thousands of curses descend upon Jujutsu High. Miguel keeps Gojo busy, and Geto isolates Yuta from the rest of the group. Their fight is brutal, with Yuta actually fighting harder than ever because he wants to protect Rika this time, and Geto fighting to attempt to release her. But all the while, he can feel this tug. He can feel that something isn't right. Their ideals end up colliding in a mass of cursed energy. Maximum Uzumaki versus their love beam. And Geto loses. Bleeding and with one arm gone, Geto only has one cursed spirit left. The only one that he couldn't bear to sacrifice. Ray, the manta ray. And he summons them to escape, running away. However, Gojo cuts him off somewhere down the road. In his final moments, Geto realizes a harsh truth that he'd been trying to avoid. He wasn't freeing curses. He wasn't freeing himself. He wasn't freeing humanity. All he was doing was putting them in a different birdcage. He took away everyone's freedom, even his family's, bending their ideals to mold into his own. And now, at the end of his life, all Geto really wanted was for his family to live free, to live however they choose, and hopefully safely. He strokes Ray's fin and asks Gojo for one last request, to make sure that she lives a good life. And then he releases the spirit. Gojo, still being a good friend and wanting to do what he could for Geto, grants his wish. And so ends Geto Suguru, the would-be Pokemon trainer who wanted to catch them all. So, what do you guys think? Was Geto always destined to spiral, or could he have made another team? Could he have lived in peace? Well, you can let me know down in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. Now, I know this was a bit of a depressing episode, especially because of the fact that it is such a ridiculous premise, but I don't know. I feel like this was a very personal story as well as the next one, which we'll be getting into next week, which is what if Gojo was a curse? Look forward to that. But this is, I mean, I love Geto. I love Geto. I love Geto's story. I mean, there's a reason that he's like in the top 5 probably for what ifs. You know, you have Sukuna up there with his stuff. Gojo, of course, he's basically the main character that everybody loves. Um, Yuta, Yuji, and probably like Megami, aside from some of the cursed spirits, right? That said, though, his spiral is fascinating because honestly, I could see myself, if I were in that line of work, going down that same spiral. And I think it's just so interesting to look at the aspect of it in terms of isolation because you know you can say, well, Gojo should have been a better friend and should have come over, and you know, the healer lady, I forget her name, she should have gone in and talked, and maybe Yuki should have been a more responsible adult and like you know, probably like I think she knows what he was thinking, so she should have probably said something. But Geto is just as responsible for his own downfall as everyone else is. It's also fascinating because Geto, and I'm going to get into a scenario where Geto actually gets a good ending, but for quite frankly, most of Geto's um, stories that he will appear in, he's going to get a bad ending just because of the way he thinks, his mindset, right? There's a reason that we don't see him with a domain expansion, other than Gege hadn't thought about it yet. But there's a reason he doesn't get domain. There's a reason he hasn't hit a black flash on screen, right? There's a reason all this. He has this amazing power. He just doesn't really have the correct-ish mindset. He is powerful, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's able to fight a 100%, and there's this cursed spirit Rika, as opposed to the Rika we see later on, right? He's able to fight them, and admittedly an inexperienced Yuta, but he's still strong in his own right. You know, Yuta was special grade at that point, mainly because of Rico, but still. So Geto has a lot going for him. He just spirals. But I do think it's really interesting his dynamic between himself and Gojo and how they parallel each other a lot. They both end up building societies in a way, you know. Gojo has his students and Geto has his family, and I can't wait to explore that in a video probably that will be, you know, months from now. Like, what if Geto turned good, or what if Geto stayed, something like that, you know, where he stays, he still raises his sorcerer family, but this time he raises them in the way that Gojo, in a way, collected these strong people and helped them to become strong. But yeah, I also wanted to make this specifically because I have a lot of issues with isolation myself. I mean, I'm in like my living room just recording a YouTube video talking to a camera. You know, how much more isolated can I get, right? But I mean, I just hope that if someone's listening to this, it'll help them not feel so alone. And hopefully, you know, just know that you can always rebuild. Whatever was lost, whatever happened to you, right? You can keep going and things get better. It's just all about your mindset and how you deal with it. Because you can spiral in and push yourself further and further away from the people that love you, or from having people that love you, right? If you don't currently. But it's just all about, you know, that mindset. But yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now. Thanks for listening to the post-show chat. That's it for now. You guys have a good day or night wherever you are. Bye-bye.